So according to USPS, I'm getting a package on Saturday. The book that I ordered on Saturday. It's just one book. I had a $15 gift card I was able to spend. So we'll get another video showing off the book. I did pay for expedited shipping, so that will be a very interesting view of the film. I really hope it doesn't come in a day early, because tomorrow I will be a lot busier than I would be on Saturday, at least out of the house. So I hope it's what it says it's gonna come in. It says it's gonna come in. It comes in, hopefully. But knowing how shit likes to happen, it will come in tomorrow. And it's fine if it comes in tomorrow, because if all goes well, I'm able to get a ride home after the appointment I gotta go to, then all will be good. But anyways, let's get on with the video. It's another Image Comics, underrated Image Comics. It's 7 this time. I could make it more if I wanted to. Actually, no, I did. I think it's still 7. You know, count it. The reason why I don't go to too much because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The reason why I don't do more than I only like a few is because I want to keep making these videos. These videos are good to make when I don't have enough to film. Okay, I'm like, okay, what did I film today? I don't know. Or I did not film today. I want to get a video out I want to get one video out per week. And if I'm lost, like, what do I do? Oh, let's do this. But it's why tomorrow's video. No, because I have to. Saturday. Never mind that. And actually, no, I know I'll have a video. Super started there. I know I'll have a video next week. It'll be early next week. But I know I have one filmed for next week. It's a video I filmed way ahead of time. And if you guys want to know how long I've done that for, like, why can't I speak? Why do words not word? If you guys want to know how far in advance I filmed the video, like the world record for me is a month. I filmed a video, I think it was the 14th. It was definitely not the 15th. It was a few days before the 15th. It may have even been the 12th. And I filmed a month ahead of time. So it'll be coming out August 15th or 16th. So maybe it was the 15th. I don't know, but it's a video. It's a comic I'll be reading on vacation. And I knew I was gonna read. I'll put them all together. And then I just had what I like to call, got bit by the filming bug, and I did that. Alright, so super long intro out of the way. First one up is Scurry. Now, I don't usually get a whole lot of kids' books from Image. Image Comics has literally a book for at least one comic for everyone. They have comics for kids, they have comics for teens, they have comics for older teens, like young adult, that kind of thing. And they have comics for adults. Every age demographic is adhered to for Image Comics. Which is why I always laugh when people are like, oh, Image Comics fell off, they're doing a comic for these kinds of... Yeah, because they want to do a comic for everybody. Literally everybody has a comic. Feminists have comics for them. People who... Actually, no, speaking of which, so it's going to be 8, actually. They want to get another book. So all of these are not... Because I'm going to grab it out now. Where is it? Why wasn't it right there? It should be right there. It was right there. I didn't grab it. They have literally a book for everyone. Like, everyone's needs to adhere to for Image. Now, speaking of which, so there are plenty of kids comics from Image. Now, why don't I get a whole lot of kids comics from Image? Well, I don't want my whole entire shelf be filled with E for Everyone comics. I know that's making it sound like I'm trying to be edgy or something like that, but I always considered Image Comics to be the ones that you were able to, like, everything was completely uncensored. They didn't have to abide by the comics code or by Marvel's strict rules that basically are like, yeah, we're not the comics code anymore, but we're going to censor a bitch in a parental advisory comic. That's a real thing, by the way. They had a use of son of a bitch in a parental advisory comic, and they had to still censor the bitch word, which makes no sense. Your parental advisory, does that mean that explicit content, you'd have the uncensored, and that's what would make it explicit if everything else is censored? They're very strange, like, and sometimes it will be, and sometimes it won't be. It is very odd. But so Image Comics, I would know, will always be able to uncensor everything if they want to. Sometimes it makes sense because if you get a T for teen comic, that you want to have a comic out there for teens, and you don't want to have every swear word uncensored. That's understandable because then it would be pushed to a T plus or even an M for mature. But at the end of the day, like for me, it was just kind of like, okay, maybe they will have book for teens and some books for kids. But I just always thought of them as being the slightly, I don't want to say edgier, but edgier than Marvel. Like, they were able to, it was complete freedom. And it still is. It just means that sometimes they have to censor things or whatever. But that's kind of that mentality. And also, I just don't want a whole lot of E for everyone comics. I want my Image Comics shelf to be a bunch of, like, mature reader stuff, and maybe some obviously teens and teen plus books too. I'm not too picky when it comes to that. I think another thing is that I already have a lot that I want to grab, and for me to be like, well, I got this one, so let's get this kid's one from Image, this one from Image Comics, kind of was that, like, okay, I already have enough to get without worrying about that. And it's kind of that mentality too. But and even then, like, I have gotten an E for everyone comic, like Moonstruck, that was E for everyone. There was another one that I found that was the Hinges, that was E for everyone. But those ones were mainly because it was just I wanted those. I had to get finished my Meredith McLaren run because she did the artwork for Black Cloak, and the only thing, I think at least, that she's done for Image that wasn't Black Cloak was Hinges, and she wrote in through that one. So I was like, you know what, artist turned author. I like doing that too. And then the other one was Moonstruck, which I liked enough. Like, it's definitely not a comic you would ever think that I would read. Like, my favorite comics of all time are, like, super edgy comics, like Preacher and Sin City, among others. So, me reading Moonstruck, it's very different. Like, it'd be like the ultimate sitcom joke for me to be, talking about Preacher, like, Preacher's a good comic, oh my god, and then it cuts to me reading Moonstruck. It'd be the ultimate funny haha joke in a sitcom. But so Scurry, it's kind of like, I don't want to keep saying it's like Secret of NIMH, because I've not watched Secret of NIMH, but it has that same sense of adventure. And it's definitely a 8+ book. So this one says read 8+ middle grade. It's definitely that. It's not too intense for kids, but I think 8 and up is a perfect age demographic. There are certain scenes that without giving too much away, it's not your average talking animal, oh, gotta get away from the cat, that kind of comic. So there's some undertones to it that they don't exactly shy away from saying, yeah, this is how this happened. And it gets really surprisingly dark for a kid's book. And that's why I love this book so much. Is that it definitely pushed the envelope, and it had no problem doing it. And honestly, it's very, even for someone like me that doesn't usually read kids' books and likes to read, like, and kind of like Spider-Man, I read, that's like kids' comic, but I don't read, like, the Marvel Adventures one. And this is kind of sort of that same age demographic too. That's another thing. I don't read the Marvel Adventures, Spider-Man, and the Marvel Adventures books, which are definitely the actual geared for kids comics. Because sometimes Spider-Man will be too intense or old for younger kids, so they'll read the Marvel Adventures. And those ones are more for, like preschoolers and 5-year-olds, and this one is more for 8 years old, but that's still kids, and it's still that demographic. An 8-year-old would still be probably would be just starting to get through Marvel Adventures, and it's like starting just slowly but surely graduating towards the regular Spider-Man comics, the mainstream, if you will. Alright, put that guy in. But Scurry is definitely, I'll show the artwork too. The artwork is phenomenal. But an all-around phenomenal book that I recommend to everyone, not just people not just kids who should be watching this channel anyways. Not that I swear Blue Streak or anything like that, but just like I don't market for kids anyways. So definitely one that I recommend. Highly recommend. And it's in this smaller size too, so you'll compare it to your average trade paperback size and see how smaller it is. Now this one is just a soap. I don't even say soap it's good, but this one is definitely like I was talking about. Image Comics has a book for feminists. This definitely fits that envelope. But this one is just like, I can't believe that this got published kind of thing, and it's honestly entertaining. The way Chelsea Kane writes the comics, that at least she entertains people. Yeah, she has a lot of like undertones. It's really annoying. Like, you can definitely tell what she's going for. She beats you over the head with her messages, but it's just like I can't believe this got released. Like they weren't shy about it at all. People were like, well, no, this company doesn't have that in it. This one definitely does. Like, this one is everything people say are in comics, and it's ruining comics. It's in here, and it's just like, again, I can't believe it got published, and they were not shy about it at all. So I had to get this book. And those of you who are like, oh, why'd you get it? Why'd you put money in Chelsea Kane's pocket? Well, I got it from a third-party seller, and I think at that point it doesn't. I don't think technically it goes into her pocket, because technically, because it's a used copy, it already did. I don't know, but I spent the least amount of money I could without getting the book in terrible condition. So here you go. And then actually artwork too, and I would recommend this to people. I do think that it should be read by everyone, just to see how, just to know that this, for people that are like, well, comics aren't that bad, are they? Or comics can't get that bad, can they? And they can't. But it's honestly entertaining. Even then, it's entertaining. I'm the kind of guy who, when they say, oh my god, this issue of Hawk Girl, I want to read that Hawk Girl by, I forget who the author's name is. There's a recent Hawk Girl series. And I'm like, oh my god, this is so terrible. This is like not Hawk Girl at all. This is like, I forget the word they use, but like it's this version of Hawk. It's like, it was Chelsea Kane. It's like it's like a lesbian. It's Hawk Girl for lesbian aunts, and I said "and" twice. And I want to check that out. I want to see how bad that is. It interests me more than it would. I mean, it would still intrigue me more if I were to say that it was really good and it was one of the best Hawk Girls and the best jumping on point for new readers, of course. But it interests me a bit more when they say it's so bad and it's terrible and all that. So that's why I bought that one too, because that can also intrigue me to pick up a book or to read it at the library. Honestly, this was from Dark Horse. It would not be my personal collection, but because I'm getting everything Image Comics, nothing but Image Comics, at least for the physical books, then I decided to get, you know what, let's get that one. Another one, let's do these back to back. This one is Supper Club, and this one is definitely for the Rena Telgemeier. If you like those, like Smile, like Guts, you like Sisters, like all those Rena Telgemeier books. Yes, Guts was from Telgemeier. Then you will really like Supper Club. I read this a while ago, actually almost a year ago, and I really enjoyed it. Now the artwork, I kind of forgot how cartoony the artwork was, and reading it again, I'm sure it won't bother me. I was flipping through it when I first got it. I was like, oh, that's the artwork, okay. But it's obviously it's even more so trying to explicate the fact that this is for that demographic of Ray Telgemeier books. But definitely one that I recommend to them, to fans of Ray Telgemeier. Not what would be said. Like I'm not gonna go over the stories in these books, because sometimes I do consider it to be a spoiler. You know, when I find out a story if I found out what the exact story was about Scurry, I would consider it to be a spoiler. All I can say is that it's about rats and mice and rats. I think it's mostly mice, but mice and rats, and then they're escaping cats. It's a cat and mouse story. That's all I'm gonna say. And then Man Eaters is a feminist comic that's so bad it's good. I don't need to say anything about the story for that one, because that's not the reason why I picked it up. I picked it up because people said it was so bad, and it was like one of the worst comics I have, and I needed to pick it up myself to find out exactly how bad it was. This one is for fans of Ray Telgemeier. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory as to what the book is about. It's about a supper club, so there you go. Actually, this one too. It's about man-eaters. There's creature or whatever. It's a virus, actually. That's what it was. And this one is scurvy. The mice are scurrying away from the cats. That's pretty cool. I just noticed that right now. I mean, Supper Club I always knew was self-explanatory, and Supper Club, and Man-Eaters too, but it was mostly Supper. It was mostly Man-Eaters. I was like, oh, there you go. No, sorry. I don't say Scurry, I was like, oh, there you go. And both, so the Man-Eaters is the only one that collects issues that were previously released. Both Scurry and Supper Club are both OGNs, which means original graphic novel, which means there was not any issues were collected before it. Technically, Scurry had 4 of them that were $10 each, but it looks like it was just on the Kindle. It was just digital only. It was a webcomic. That's what it was. That's what it makes sense. That's why. Because it was a webcomic before. Then before they got published by Image, it was released into 4 parts on digital, and then obviously the book came out. So I would obviously recommend getting the book, this one right here, if you want to get it all in one, and it's cheaper. Because all 4 are in here, and I believe at least all 4 are in here, and I'm sure they have to be. And it's $11.99 for the Kindle version, if you only get books digitally, which I can never do that. I'd never be able to do that, I mean. Now, this next one is Cosmic Detective, and this was probably the most recent book in my Image Comics collection. That I read it at my library. I liked it so much, I picked it up myself. I was going to buy this myself, like, way back when, but the month I was planning on doing that, I think it was February, I didn't have enough money. I had, in the budget, I was like, I can get these books, I don't want to put anything away and not get this one, so let's push this one off a little bit and get it at my local library. Because originally, I would say a year or 2 ago, especially 2 years ago, I was fine with just there at my library. I would actually consider it to be a waste of money if I got a book, found out the entire series that I just bought was at my local library. I consider it to be the waste of money, even if I really like that series. Like Waygor is a perfect example. I was just like, you know what, they have it at the library, get it there. But recently I'm like, you know what, I like it so much, let's buy it myself. I did it with Man-Eaters, Supper Club, Scurry, all the ones right now. Oh, it's kind of funny, it goes in order. They're all that. Oh my god, all these ones were, that's perfect. Alright, so anyways, so this one is Cosmic Detective. This one is mature readers. I do want to point that out. So, and actually no, this is the first mature readers. I went, early, I would say, yeah, it was middle grade, but it wasn't like E.T., it was kind of just in the middle from E to T, so E10 plus, perfect. And then then Man-Eaters and Supper Club are both T plus. But this one is mature readers. There's curse words in it, nudity, it's brief nudity, and violence too, I believe. But this one is really unique. I remember liking it enough, but I remember the one flaw to it was that it kind of, like, you were like, okay, so there's gonna be a volume 2, right? And there's no news in the volume 2. So there's never gonna be a volume 2, and they always, and Matt Kint and Jeff Lemire always intended this to be the final nail in the coffin. This is the only one they're gonna release. Then that's not good, because it kind of ends on from what I remember, a bit of a cliffhanger. Now, the most unique part about this book is that when it starts out, they do this, and I didn't mention this at all, the 5,000 times I've shown this book. Because I do, when I do the, like I'll do on Saturday, I'll do, hey, I got a book, here's the book. And then I'll do, at the end of the month, I'll be, here's everything I got. Like, so far it's been Scurry, Outpost Zero, and then the 3rd book is coming in on Saturday. But then I'll get the books at the end of the month, pretty soon here, hopefully. And then I'll show that all, off, and it'll come in as the complete July haul for 2024. But anyways, so that's what I do. I showed this off, and I once before, and I did the end of the month haul, and now I'm showing off the 3rd time. And I got it, actually no, the 4th or 5th time, because I showed this off, actually no, the 6th time. I got this from the library. So library, I showed it off at the library, so I got library, then I reviewed it, then I showed it off and I bought it, then end the month haul, and now the 5th and probably final time, will be on only final time. For the 5th time, it will be when I'm showing it off as the review it, as having owned it and doing here's some underrated image books that everyone should check out. Now, yet again, sorry, I keep getting sidetracked. They have this, they'll say, oh, I hear asparagus is in season, and that's code for someone has been murdered. Or someone has been murdered. I think that's a really clever way to do that. And there was another book I was reading that also did that. I forget what it was. But here it's just done like, that's honestly kind of creative, and it makes it already show that this is more like a science fiction fantasy kind of book. It's about a god being murdered, so already fantasy sci-fi elements, and that just makes it sound even more like it's in sci-fi fantasy. Because I don't think, I mean, I'm sure they do that. Like if they're talking in public, they will do that. They'll talk like in code words, but usually I don't know. Like they wait till they're in private to talk about it. Like I'd say in real life, if that actually happened, if someone got murdered in real life, people would the policemen would probably talk, or the detectives would probably talk in code words. I don't know, but it seemed like that automatically right then and there was like, this is going to be a unique comic, and it pretty much is. I mean, a lot of it, you could argue is a bit basic, but it's still interesting. It still keeps your interest. So I do recommend picking this up. And also, this is 208 pages of book that you get for only $17.99. Now, yes, there's a book called Bolero that is, I think, almost double that. It's like 245 pages. I think maybe it's even more than that. And it's also $17.99, but still, I always will support Image Comics that give you a lot for a little. This one is a good example. This one's $14.99. It has more pages than does Cosmic Detective, and that is $14.99, and the same size too. Here, and the same size book too. So this one I do highly recommend. Or I wouldn't say highly, right below, slightly below highly, but above a usual recommend. Okay, your basic recommend. But it's a slightly above average comic. Again, it's because it ends kind of prematurely, I would say, but only kind of. Again, I'm sure they'll make more of this series. Like, I don't know if it's popular enough here to see artwork. Artwork is phenomenal. I really like David Rubin's artwork. Next one is They're Not Like Us, and yes, I did listen to Not Like Us after. I found it was funny. It was one thing that always came to my mind when I thought about this. Now, this one has been a little while since I've read this. I would say even like the longest out of all of these. It's been that the last one's the longest, but this is the second longest it's taken me to reread this book. But this one I remember really liking. From what I remember enough from this book, and the main comparison I can make to is Doom Patrol. Very much like that. It's kids with special powers that go to a little hideout. I think it's when they're hiding away from people, I think. But from what I remember, it was kind of like that. And it deals with some pretty heavy subjects, too. Like, surprisingly heavy subjects, and I really appreciate that. It starts out right with a heavy subject. I'm not going to give away what it was, but it right away deals with a heavy subject. Like, reels you in, like, pulls you in right away. This one's written by Eric Stevenson. So I'll go in order. Scurvy was written by Max Smith. Man-Eaters is written by Chelsea Kane. Supper Club is written by Jackie Morrow. I know I did for sure not say that. Matt Kent and Jeff Lemire both write Cosmic Detective. Again, I will keep saying this. It feels more of like a Matt Kent book than a Jeff Lemire book. But still, if you like either author, you'll like this one. And They're Not Like Us is written by Eric Stevenson. So yeah, definitely very similar to Doom Patrol. If you like that, you'll like this. It's not like as good as Grant Morrison's run, but I would say it is a step above Gerard Way's run, which I read the first volume of. I thought it was good enough, but this is definitely a good modern Doom Patrol book. But it's obviously not Doom Patrol. Like, if you like Doom Patrol and you want something that feels a bit different and feels a bit more indie, like even more indie, you'll like this one. I'm actually off the artwork. Twig is rated T for teen, but it's definitely geared towards kids. But it's a bit more intense. I honestly don't know why it's rated T for teen. That's weird. Sometimes they'll do a rated T for teen, but it's like, why didn't you just do E for everyone? But then something like Skull Kickers, or I'm talking an example, something like Home, which is another so bad it's good comic, but I think I should have off, is definitely geared towards teenagers. It's definitely a teenager book. But this one is definitely it's for kids. But maybe there was a too much. Maybe some scenes were too intense for kids, so they made it teen for teen. I don't know. But this one's written by Scotty Young, and it's a fantastic fantasy comic. I remember like this was one that I didn't know a whole lot about going into, which is why I'm not gonna say a whole lot about it, and I was pleasantly surprised. Definitely pick this up. Definitely pick this one up if you like fantasy and Scotty Young's writing. So the first time I read I Hate Fairylands, I kind of did hate it. The first time I read Strange Academy, I wasn't like super wowed about it. So Scotty Young is very hit or miss for me, but this was definitely a hit. This was probably my second favorite book he's done. Definitely for Image. My first favorite is Middle West. Middle West is so far above everything else I've read by Scotty Young. That saying it's my second favorite is still further down than you expect, so to speak. Genius. This one is the perfect way to describe this book is it's basically like watching somebody play Grand Theft Auto, and the best example is Saints Row 2 because it has gangsters. I say San Andreas. But this is like watching your friend or whoever play Saints Row 2 or GTA, any of those games you're running from the cops, and watching their playthrough of it, and they give it a bit of a story to it. It's written by Mark Bernardin, and Adam Freeman, and Mark Bernardin is a fantastic author. Everything I've read by him has been at the very least investing, and this is at the very least investing. This isn't phenomenal by any means of the word, but it is at least entertaining. I'll show the artwork for it. But definitely recommend this one if you like crime comics. If you don't want anything, this one it's very light on story. There's no there are some twists and turns, and it does try to make it like the characters stand out enough, but definitely is. It's not like it's not. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain exactly what I mean. Like not without giving too much away, but just in general, it's hard to explain. But it's good enough. Like I do recommend this one. Again, the perfect way to describe it is just like watching your friend play Saints Row 2, and they give a bit of a story to it. Like they're like, oh, I'm running from the cops, and I'm a drug dealer, and like this. And the Gaming Lemon used to do that. He used to give like a ridiculous story with it. It's not ridiculous, the comic, but it's like they would do that. Like, would make a little story, like, oh, I'm running from the cops, and I gotta, whatever the hell. And you make your own little story to it. But it's kind of what that comic is like. Because just to say it's like running from the cops and that's it. It's not really. It is a bit of a story to it. But then last but not least is Sex Criminals by Chip Zdarsky. The definition of rated M for mature. It's written by Matt Fraction, artwork by Chip Zdarsky. But yes, this is definitely M for mature. In fact, when I show off the artwork, I can be careful. Let's do the first page. Is that good enough? Nope. Can't show off that page. There we go. Let's show this though, that's fine. Yeah. And this is the compendium, which is everything, all 30 issues. I think 31, because they have an epilogue, which is, even though I really, really like this book, the epilogue is terrible. And I do not consider the epilogue to be canon. It's more of a, like, alternate ending kind of thing, but it's an awful ending. It's really awful. I don't know if they're being tongue-in-cheek about it, but it's an awful ending. But everything else about this comic is really damn good. It's not just about the sex, it's about the story, too. And when they say here's the best plot synopsis. Here we go. That's exactly what this book is like. And no, I will not give away what the book is what the twist in this book is. Because that I did not know that going in, like how exactly I stopped time, but it is very good. And it's probably my favorite Matt Fraction book. Everything else I've read by him has been very lackluster or just okay. His Iron Man was just okay. His Hawkeye was really good. That's another one. So probably goes Sex Criminals, Hawkeye, and I don't know after that. I have to really think about everything else that I've read by Matt Fraction. But this is definitely my favorite book by him. It was very investing. It was really funny reading this, and I always was kind of like, I kind of hope that someone else is asking when I'm reading, so I can tell them what it's about. But it's one of those books that you kind of like. It's like back in the day, like the 90s and late 80s or early 90s, before the internet was took the world by storm, of like hiding your porn magazines. It's exactly like that. It has that same feel to it when I was reading this book. But in the library had it. Again, all these books my library had the entire series of, but I like them so much I bought myself. But that's about it. Actually, the artwork. Yeah, definitely mature readers though. Like definitely, like all these, like this one just has a lot of language in it. There's no nudity, but it still is immature. Still has like a lot of F words and violence. Twig is T for teen. I'd say for kids too. I think it's fine for a kid to read it. This one I don't think had any nudity in it, and actually is it immature? It is. I think it had just just violence and language. Same here, brief nudity, but it's very brief. And a brief sex scene, but it's very brief. I guess there's nothing to write home about. This one is T+. I don't even think it had anything. I think it had like maybe one F word, but it's Teen+. So they had to kind of not do that. And I think I have maybe a few curse words. I remember saying to myself, there's a reason why it was T+. I was like, oh, there you go. So I think it's some language. This one, I don't think it had any language. I think it's just like the subject matter. And they did have language in it, it was very, not brief, but it was, yeah, that too. It was like, it wasn't like explicit. I don't think it was any F words. It wasn't very, like, strong. There you go, that's the word I'm looking for. And this one is 8+. So that, as I say, is that. Something for everyone, honestly. If you like adventure comics, you like kids comics, if you want something that's a bit more mature, you get Scary. If you want something that's feminist and so bad it's good, you want to see how bad comics can get, or like how preachy comics can get, there you go, that's what I was looking for, you got Man-Eaters. If you want something that feels like a very intelligent Meyer book, but from an Image, you got Supper Club. If you want something that's a bit more like fantastical sci-fi and crime and mystery, you got Costume Detective. Either one. You got Costume Detective. If you want something that's a bit more like superhero-esque and feels a lot like other comics without being a rip-off of said comics, you have They're Not Like Us. If you want something that's like straight-up fantasy, you have Twig. If you want something that's straight-up crime and mystery, you have Genius. If you want something that's pushes the envelope to the nth degree, you have Sex Criminals. Even I was surprised how explicit sex scenes got in this book. Not that like it was like. It's one scene that always comes to mind when I think about this book. I'm not gonna give away what it was, the sex act was very explicit. Like if you saw it, I think even like an R-rated movie would have a hard time showing that. Like it's almost NC-17 at that point. But that, as they say, is that 30-minute video. I get to read my own books. That'll be something a review up pretty soon here. Probably next. It's gonna be by next week, but I would say on Sunday. I'm pushing for Sunday.